Welcome to the show where we discuss the second season of Marvel's premier Netflix miniseries and discern the truth about why this show stands above the rest. The elements of quality storytelling that other shows are blind to.
But not this show.
So join us as we start Discerning Daredevil.
Sorry.
And tonight we'll be going over Season 2, Episode 5, Kinbaku. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Dragon. Kinbaku?
Kinbaku.
Kinbaku.
Closest up. Yeah, we haven't really gotten these titles phonetically, so I'm just going to go along and say I think it's Kinbaku.
All right. So, Dragon, I have a kind of an interesting backstory with this episode. I was so engrossed with the Frank Castle stuff, and I basically heard through the grapevine that the electric stuff is kind of hit or miss, kind of goes off the rails a little bit, and I was like, God damn it, episode 1 through 4 of Daredevil Season 2 is so perfect.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want that. I don't want that ruined for me. I was just blown away by the awesomeness that was the initial Frank Castle arc. And Dragon, I sat on it, and I sat on it, and I sat on it, and I sat on it some more, much to your frustration. I'm sure you remember this.
I remember this.
But alas, we're here. We're going through it. Dragon, it's like, I really do think this season, it does have a peak to it, and then kind of it falters out a little bit towards the end. We'll get more into that when we go on. But, straight up until I'd say like episode 10 is really, really good stuff, including the Elektra stuff. Like, it's like I said, Elektra, like the problems with her, I think kind of come in much later. I think especially with this episode exploring her dynamics, which we're about to do, we're about to break it all down. It really is, especially this episode, a compelling kind of introduction to the character after we got that great tease at the end of episode 4. Hello, Matthew.
Hello, Matthew.
You're so good at that. All right, Dragon. So you want to break it down? You want to go into the plot?
Sure.
All right, let's do it.
So here's the summarized version of the plot. So here are the main points to hit. Elektra drops by to hire, much to Matt's dismay. Again, he's on top of the world with Karen Page, and then it's like, everything's going all right, and then Veronica shows up. Not the giant, and no, not one of the giant Hulk armors. No, it's Elektra drops by to Matt's dismay to hire him. While this is going on, basically she wants him to basically oversee negotiations, take the case on the Roxxon negotiations that are going on with her father's company. Matt refuses and doesn't trust her, mainly because he doesn't trust her. Oh boy, does he not trust her when you get into the deep-seated issues of why that is. We see Matt and Elektra in flashback fall for each other, which leads eventually to leading up to their eventual sad breakup. Very sad, really tissue-worthy stuff there. Karen, meanwhile, is trying to get Frank's, Punisher, get Frank Castle's side out there to the public through the Bolton, her old Bolton connections, from her Ben Urich kind of team-up days, to investigate the cover-up, because someone's not getting that story out there, and it's not like an accident. Someone's really like, he had no family, he wasn't a good military man, none of that.
Right.
Meanwhile, Foggy's trying to endure Reyes's encroaching wrath, which we're going to see big time in the upcoming Punisher trial. And lastly, Matt becomes, in the end, after all the stuff he goes through in the present, Matt ends up yet again getting wrapped up in Elektra's world, which is going to lead him into big trouble. That's where we end the episode off. Matt's about to get into some big trouble.
It's such an exciting cliffhanger, isn't it?
Yes.
I was watching it with my dad, and I like totally forgot, even though I just watched this like a few months ago. I was like, oh, that's right. Oh, this kicks some ass. Let's go. Okay, Dragon. So, let's go through some arcs.
So, folks, this one's very much kind of like Nelson. I believe it's Nelson versus Murdoch in the first season, where we had that story told in flashback and the present. So, in echoing that style, what we're going to do here is we're going to kind of break down Matt in present and flashback. We're going to start with present because that's kind of where we left the last episode off on. So we're going to start with
Matt Murdoch sandwich. It's not quite as awesome as the Shane Black sandwich, but
So we're starting with Blind Matt Murdock.
A blind Matt Murdock.
So,
President Murdock.
Yep. So let's see. So Matt, and the present again, coming off the whole again, he's on cloud nine, just as he's adjusting to life as Matt Murdock, kind of going. Basically, this whole episode is pretty much a Daredevil No More episode. He's tried hanging up the costume, and the whole episode is Matt Murdock. We don't see him in the suit at any point during this episode, which is cool.
What would be Matt Murdock's "Raindrops Are Falling on My Head" equivalent if you had to pick a song?
Well, I mean, if I had to come up one out of the blue, or one that's in the episode, because the songs are kind of in the background in this episode.
Can I throw one out there?
What do you got?
"Here Comes the Sun" by the Beatles. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter.
It's so funny. Raindrops Are Falling would be so appropriate for him too, because the last episode was in the rain. Raindrops.
Exactly.
I could have if they should have put it in the episode, in the previous episode, at the end or during that date. No, we're getting off track.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. But seriously, again, just as Matt's adjusting to life, post, hanging up the horn, so to speak. The really painful aspect of Matt's life returns, and boy, is going to bring him some bad memories, as it does here. I love we have a kind of introspective, really distrusting, again, very Casablanca-esque Matt Murdock this episode, very Rick-esque.
Oh yeah, and yeah,
and I like kind of the mystery there,
you definitely see that right off the bat. Yeah, you're right with the mystery of okay, he is just blatantly there is no way this woman has scorned him. He's not touching her with a 10-foot pole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's very smart and okay, I'm not trusting this lady. And we basically, knowing what we know about Elektra from the movie, at least if no one's ever read the comics, okay, Elektra's she's kind of the bad girl, so you gotta keep some space around the bad girl. In the case of the Daredevil movie, she was a really bad girl, but for the wrong reasons.
I don't think you're a nice girl.
Only Heimler could say it better, Tiki. So again, Elektra coming back for just with Matt in the present. I like this. There's a lot of great subtlety in the arc for Matt here. Of he's introspective in terms of his mind is elsewhere while he's focusing on the problems that we are kind of picking up with from the Punisher aftermath of his moving on is kind of corrupted by Elektra. He's trying to move on with Karen, but now his feelings are a little like some old. Basically, the flashbacks you get through the whole episode are like the good memories he had with Elektra that eventually sour, but still the good memories are floating through his mind while he's with Karen. So he's not fully in the moment of this happy Matt Murdock lifestyle. It's again, you got to take the negative with the positive. Hey, you don't have to go fight crime or nothing. Hey, Matt Murdock, before he became Daredevil, he was into some really dark stuff.
Also, Elektra just kind of puts the ultimate sticking point to him of oh, you want me out of your life? Well, guess what? I'm just going to put you out of financial trouble, and there you go. Now you kind of have to work with me. You're welcome.
Yeah. You know what? I want to say they keep the money later on, but it's kind of basically what they did is story-wise. What they did is they tried to distract from the financial stuff being solved. They kind of wanted we have other trial problems to worry about before we worry about the money. So it's still Reyes is the problem versus the lack of finances being the problem. So it's kind of They really give a clear answer to that. I don't think. We'll find out rewatching it, I guess.
But you know what I mean, though. It's definitely Elektra is kind of hanging that over his head, and that's great because it's basically her holding his own past over his head in a way. It's oh, you got yourself into this financial situation. I'm going to bail you out, but you have to at least be willing to interact and play ball with me if you want to get there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and basically, again, I love that she doesn't care about the money too. It's just the intrigue of it, of you owe me in some way for this.
right, exactly.
It's kind of like a Walter White sort of we're not charity, like a dirty word sort of thing of it's yeah, but it's coming from someone I really don't want. The Schwartzes screwed me out of all my money.
Could you imagine Walter White taking just like a cake slice of his giant money pile and donating it to a family, and then essentially extorting the hell out of that family?
Oh yeah, God. Basically, he makes the family into an entire family of butlers to serve Walter Jr.
Exactly, that's what I'm
basically
saying.
It's a breakfast armada. In a way, it's a breakfast armada.
Oh, you could quit, but I did give you that money, so. So what are you gonna do? What does your
your
heart tell you?
I think your best course of action would be to try.
Okay, we're getting off track. We're getting off track.
Right. Anyway, so again, this Elektra really catches all of this catches Matt off guard as he tries to go about the normal life. Normal being the key runner in this episode. Foggy's trying. Normal is the theme of this episode. Everyone's trying to strive for normalcy, and it's juxtaposed with the flashbacks where you have normalcy in the other sense. Like this is normal for Matt Murdock. You know, the blind man who one day will become Daryl. The man who was trained by basically a blind ninja, who then abandoned him, and then later on, years later, the guy puts on a red costume and he's fighting ninjas who catch themselves on fire.
Yeah, and this episode does just do a really good juxtaposition of just the lifestyle that he used to have versus a lifestyle that he's trying to have. And
yeah,
Dragon, I'm gonna eat my words. Karen. There's still one scene we'll get to, but I definitely think that Karen is the great sort of, especially because it's been built up so much. It's like look at what you could have. And she's so much more likable than Mary Jane is in Spider-Man 2. She's such a more likable and desirable endpoint. You know what I mean? It's like, don't get me wrong, Mary J. Watson, I think she kind of treads the line on being a nice girl in some ways, but Karen Page, man, I mean, she is she is Formiga levels of nice girl, Dragon.
very much so. Again, you have to be an alien not to like Karen Page.
Exactly.
Come on. Seriously, one of the most likable. Again, I love that the Marvel Netflix shows have given us so many strong female characters. I really do.
Oh yeah.
Don't get me wrong, you have a few nicks in that, with kind of our less than strong characters in Jessica Jones. Not the title character, of course. I'm talking about like our side characters.
Robin.
Yeah, Robin.
I mean, let's just call it spade a spade.
Robin and kind of Pam. Robin and kind of Pam.
At least Pam's fun to make fun of, though.
Yeah. Oh, wait, Wendy. Everyone knows it's Wendy.
That's what I'm saying. saying. That was fun. That was fun.
Yeah. Wendy was actually, she was not. She was just we're wasting valuable Netflix money on this. Come on, guys.
Well, of course, we'll get into strong female characters when we get to Luke Cage.
Oh my God, are we? We can put a pin in that. Let's get back to this. So, almost done, Matt here. Just basically, again, he's as we see in the beginning there, he's playing it smart. He's keeping her at arm's length. Keeping tabs on Elektra. Later on, we get one of my favorite sequences. I love this in the first season. They do this. I love Matt kind of in broad daylight. Just kind of like he tosses the cane up in the air and he's kind of doing the acrobatics and the parkour on the roof.
Yeah.
So basically, again, he's following up smartly. He's following up on Elektra, but again, he's not suiting up. He's not wanting to be conspicuous in broad daylight. But the point is, he's either way, he's still trying to walk the line of that normal life, and he's trying to maintain it while he's still kind of doing the Daredevil feats.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, again, it's just he gives Elektra an inch by coming to that meeting, which kind of signals to her like, oh yeah, I got him. She knows he has that great self-satisfaction of, oh yeah, I got him. He's back in. He gave Elektra an inch by coming to her later that night at the end of the episode. And in the end, he gets wrapped up in all the old wounds, and he is faced with a big choice to make as a character. Again, keep going with your chance at that. Basically, keep going with this facade of a happy ending you think is normal, or go with what is actually normal to you, being Daredevil.
Yeah, sure.
It's like our version of the true version of normal, or this facade of normal.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay, let's get into Karen.
Yeah, so Karen, she's on cloud 9 this episode. She really is. I mean, she just walks in. Let me just play a little bit of it for you.
Okay.
Let's talk business. Potential clients, real ones, with bank in the bank. BlueDragonFive spending lots of mental dangerous. It's all of that. And I don't need a lecture, or I will take those coffees back, okay? Thank you.
Oh, it's just so much. I wanted to cover a few elements of that. So 3 things. Just okay. So first and foremost, again, she's on cloud 9 with like Matt's kind of, and they're both kind of like kids on the playground or something. You know, they're like
it's like Norma Bates the night after like a classic movie marathon with Norman.
It's basically, again, if we, I'm not being fully serious with this, but imagine if we ever got a prequel to Bates Motel with like the Norma Bates Chronicles, you know, Deborah Ann Wool, it would be in consideration, you know.
Oh, God. Let's not go nuts here, but yes.
That's what I'm saying. I know it doesn't really look wise. It's kind of a differential there, but you know, young Norma, you know, really nice. I'm just saying she does so kind of cute and adorable. That's all.
Oh no! Oh God, that would be
Just
like
again,
what, like the 70s, the 80s, the time period.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyway, let me see. But yeah, we also in the scene, one of my favorite bits, it shows you the strength of Karen's character, as we always love the praise here, is that she, I love the whole, she brings in coffee to our financially destitute Nelson and Murdoch. Again, just showing that she's really the heart and soul of this organ. Without her, this business would crumble.
And you know what? That's a good transitioning point, because she is not just the heart and soul dragon. She is the gear in the machine that's actually getting shit done at Nelson and Murdoch.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I love how she, at the end there, I love the whole, she's such a grown. It's like, look at this, our little adorable Karen Page. After she killed Wesley, she's growing up into her big girl pants so well.
Oh,
she's think about it. Like, I love the bit. One of my favorite bits is when she says, you know, hey, I don't need a lecture. I'm going to take those coffees back.
Yeah, that's great.
And then she says thank you afterwards. She doesn't like I'm have to be making a firm statement here. It's a firm statement, but also like thank you. Really, just again, that's Karen written right for me there. It's all excellent stuff there. And she's also, again, just showing how, just continuing on with, like, so she's on cloud 9 with Matt. Meanwhile, she's also trying to get justice for the Punisher. Saying, oh my God, Karen's kindness does not, just spreads all over here. It really does.
I can't wait to talk about the Karen and Punisher dynamic, because it honestly might be the second best dynamic after Frank and Matt. You know what I mean? It's so good. They have such a good, like, I say chemistry, but not romantic chemistry. You know what I mean? It's like, they're just really compelling in the scene together. So anyway.
Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna assume there's a funny shipping name out there for Karen and the Punisher. I'm assuming it's Pagester.
Wait, what?
Pagester.
I don't know.
What you like Ferraren better?
No, I just don't think we need to get into shipping names, because I just said they don't have romantic chemistry.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I know you and I will say that, but I'm saying, you know, someone out there's like some section of fandom just say, oh, if they're a will they, won't they, aren't they? I'm just saying, you know, it exists. I'm not saying we abdicate that. Just say you know it exists. But yeah, I love that she's trying to seek justice for him, making sure his story, his side of the story gets out, because as her arc is going to progress, she's going to be more and more on the Punisher's side as the season goes on, and there's like still the inkling of it. Well, at the very least, he's not getting his fair shake of justice. And again, heart and soul of Nelson Murdoch, she's still representing, you know, what they represent people who are, you know, less have less than glowing histories, and Punisher fits into that. So yeah, we got to represent it. We stand behind our clients. Or at the very least, someone who was involved in one of our clients' cases. I mean, you know, the Punisher, we have stuff that relates to him, so we got to make sure we see all the stuff here.
Sure.
And of course, you know, she really still hates, like, kind of she still is very unhappy. The reason she's really sticking for Frank too is, like, she knows how scummy and crooked Reyes is, and she's trying to deny Reyes, you know, just like putting the Punisher in without getting his side out there, just kind of trying to cover up the tragedy of the Punisher, which she knows. You know, she saw the bullet X-ray herself.
Yeah, definitely.
And of course, just continuing on, she's going down the Ben Urich path in a really nice way. We'll get to a little bit more later. And again, I just love that she's kind of slowly becoming Ben Urich.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sorry, go on.
No. I just kind of don't have anything else to say about her. So.
Oh, yeah, one last thing is I love that now it's kind of occurred to me on the realize that now she has a dual role, like Matt, you know, as a reporter and you know, as sort of a reporter with a story on the side going on. She's kind of, we have a great scene when they're talking to each other later on. It's like, her day of work is, you know, she's trying to get justice. She's looking into like a cover-up story on the Punisher while she's like not boring Matt with all the details on it. See, and she's living a double life too.
Boring day at the office, nothing special. You?
Yeah. Again, it's like they both have these. Again, she's becoming more and more like Matt every day, and what Matt, I mean, it's even Daredevil. Yeah. So I guess moving on then. Right. So moving on, I guess we're going to yes, we're going to Elektra next. To Elektra. So, boy oh boy, Elektra, she's delightful. Yeah, this little hello Matthew. I mean, oh my god, she's a delight. She's seductive. I think she's everything you want with the Elektra character. You know, I love the chemistry that she and Matt have. It's very strong. You know, it's very you know, it's very strong. You know, she's kind of this bored. She's bored as the rich socialite, and she wants excitement and action, which Matt definitely brings to her. And you know, she hears of this. She hears of this dark element to Matt, which leads to kind of a sick, twisted, but well-meaning romantic gesture. It's almost like an initiation of romantic gesture in a way. So again, it's like she's. So you know, it's basically she's kind of like. She's a great counterpoint. She's kind of like the best description I have for Elektra in this series is she's kind of a combination of Catwoman and Talia al Ghul, but for Daredevil. Later on, more on the latter half of the season with Talia al Ghul. Yeah, definitely the seductiveness, I guess, with Talia al Ghul, but definitely like kind of the thrill chaser. And I guess also some seductiveness too. Basically, kind of the bad impulse and kind of the you do this for the thrill aspect that we saw with Catwoman. And again, just very ironic, given Miller's kind of seeding some of this stuff here that we're gonna get touches of later on. Again, I'm not saying he's founded the whole Catwoman thing. I'm just saying again, there's some Batman elements in here. Anyway, let's see. So let me play a little bit of this for you here. Let me just play a little bit of their when they meet. It's a big scene when these two meet, and oh boy, is it. It's one for the ages, kids. Like, there's a love story. There's all love stories here. I mean, as much as we love Matt and Karen, I mean, come on, this is electric. There's something else.
And now, mind is resting, wondering what you can say to make you keep feeling alive. Because the last thing you want is to spend the rest of the evening with that scotch and that shaggy hair friend of yours. You know what your problem is? You're pretty, you even work blinding, but you don't. You're also before you step to the plate. You get all of that from Parable Wingers. Quick study. You want to know what I think? Tell me. I think the game's just beginning. Because despite your artisan keys and charm school manners, despite being richer than God, having the whole world at your fingertips, you're just bored. Really? Bored enough to spend your time sliding a stranger's shoes. See, I think you were dying on the vine of this tight-ass party because daddy's money can't buy you the one thing you really need. And what's that? The unexpected. Maybe not so tough. Elektra nudges. And we're on. Let's go, Mike.
So just quickly recap all that good stuff we had there. Basically, again, just her arc, just kind of Cliff Notes her arc here. Again, I like she kind of starts off as this kind of this bored rich girl, essentially, who definitely has a really interesting backstory, which we're going to learn later on. But, she kind of, in a way, Matt kind of makes her worse as he makes her better. Like, I'm sorry, actually, no, he doesn't make her better. It's like they make each other worse in a way. like he triggers like the adventure side of her, which is kind of let's just say a darkness. His darkness feeds into her darkness, and her darkness we're gonna find out is really bad later on. We get a little taste of it in this episode. It's like, again, as we see more and more of her layers kind of on the surface, it's like, oh wow, her idea of a romantic gesture is murder to bond them forever, which is really, really dark stuff. But again, it's coming from kind of a twisted romantic place. In a way, you kind of root for him. At the same time, you still just think, wow, just the implications of these two getting together could be really, really harmful. I mean, the two of them, again, there's like, it's like, what if Catwoman advocated murder? So again, it's kind of a Catwoman meets Talia al Ghul situation you got going on there. Yeah. So let's see.
Oh, thank God we're still on the air. Thank God.
Yes, we are. Do you got any? Do you have anything to say on Elektra, real quick? Because I kind of I went through the meeting scene.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. My internet just kind of decided to crap out there. Elektra, and I apologize.
Her arc.
Her arc. Yes. So, the great thing about Elektra, I think, is really how she kind of compares and contrasts to Matt. It affects Matt's arc. And that's really most of what I have to say about Elektra, so I'll go ahead and save my thoughts for when we get to the dynamics, because that's really most of what I have to say about her. I'm sure you did a great job covering it.
Well, anyway, so again, also in the present, real quick, I didn't mention the present name. She's kind of she knows that she likes Matt, and she also knows that that it goes the other way around to the Matt. On some level, of Matt still is attracted to Elektra, and she knows that he won't willingly cross a line. And that's like kind of where she knew. Then she didn't know that. Now she does, and she's in a way toying with him without fully manipulating. Like she's just basically what it boils down to with her arc, and like the reason, like right now where their relationship says that she's trying to regain trust. But here's the issue: she's trying to regain trust without compromise, which is challenging, as you can imagine. Like she's willing, hey, trust me, but she won't change. It's like, hey, I am who I am. You're the one who's going to have to change, which doesn't really sound like trust, does it?
Yeah, it's ironic because the time period where Matt is, most fond of her and has his memories of her from is arguably the time period where she was manipulating him the most. You know what I mean? And now, when he doesn't have his trust, when he's just like, stay out of my life, it's like, even though I'm sure she has some nefarious, intentions in mind, I think, like you said, she is well-intentioned in terms of like, well, I understand that he's not going to trust me. I want to make some steps towards him trusting me again. So yeah, well put.
Then basically, just to recap for you, real, just basically generally what I was going for is like they bring out the darkness in each other. You gotta remember, this is before the Nelson and Murdoch dream, because this is before the flashback we saw in season 1. It's before Nelson versus Murdoch.
Sure.
Because remember, this is like Foggy mentions in passing Elektra, as in, okay, well, yeah, you've already had your Elektra adventure that we're seeing now.
Right.
And with that,
you had your Veronica, and you're gonna have your Betty in the future, man. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, you see what I mean, though? It's like,
yeah.
Again, she's playing. I basically use the comparison and tell me what you think. It's kind of like a Catwoman meets Talia al Ghul thing with her, right? It's kind of like, what if basically the thrill seeker.
I can see that.
It's the thrill seeker of Catwoman, being like, the walking on the wrong side of the law meets the kind of like going that extra step that he just can't go with. It's kind of again, but plus the accent to it, kind of a Talia thing too.
And Talia is also kind of like more of an in-charge type of person, kind of like the high society type, more so. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so they pretty much they bring out the darkness in each other, and he sees it as thrill seeking, but really, as we find out, especially later on, it's really that's touching. He awakens the darkness in her in a way which really leads her down a path.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Remember, he kind of like it feeds her ego of like, hey, we can do anything, including murder, which again was not really going to end well.
It's fun, Matthew.
Yeah. It's like, come roll around in the dirt.
Oh God! Oh no! Now, I think Elektra would be like, probably out of all the people we've joked about Romero being disapproving of. What'd you do today, honey? I rolled around to the dirt with Elektra. Elektra! She's such a bad influence, but she's fun!
I gotta tell you, what I'm imagining though, just can you imagine this as a fictional story? Just real quick, I'm just gonna put it out there. We don't have to talk about it. Just,
God.
if the ultimate not a nice girl to walk in to Bates Motel is Norman and Elektra, I imagine Norma's thoughts on that one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway, moving on. So again, we let's go to Matt in the flashbacks here. So again,
yeah. Very much a guy trying to figure his life out. You know what I mean? Very much kind of it almost kind of reminds me of Bruce Wayne in Batman Begins to a certain extent, where he's just kind of like the playboy type, where he's a little reckless. You know what I mean? He's not refined his heroism yet at all. He's not even really thinking about heroism to a degree.
Yeah, he doesn't have the, I love, one of my favorite things about this episode is that we have a Jack Murdock is felt, but he's not directly referenced or, well, I mean, he's met referenced, but I mean, it's not stated like, hey, I'm doing this for my dead father. It's not expressed in dialogue. He's not making a vow or anything, but it's, his presence is felt, and you get a sense of, okay, Matt, he's still kind of directionless, and he has a general idea. He's going to law school, but he hasn't formed the Nelson and Murdoch dream yet, so he doesn't have like a way of honoring his father in that way, as well as the way of kind of honoring the injustice that was done to his father in the other way, which kind of forms at the end of this episode. So again, everything's kind of forming by the end of this. Well, it's on its way to being formed, which fully gets formed in Nelson versus Murdoch. That's when it all gets fully formed.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But let me play a little bit of just like the pre-Nelson and Murdoch days, just like when it was these two college kids crashing a party for the food, and it was really awesome. Eating caviar.
Jackasses. Well, we're not. Help yourself. He's got a bruise on you. You want to get down this floor of the school? I'll get to that. I'm going to find the element. Genius! Who got me a beer?
You know what's great about that is that in any other circumstance, that guy would probably just kick them out. But God darn it, you can't deny the charm of Nelson and Murdoch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, fine. You guys are just too charming. Just do whatever you want. You got me.
Honestly, that was almost a contender for my blinding moment. Not just with the pleasantry, but more so with the fact of I love the class divide we have in this episode. We see it's in the past and the present, because we have literally in the same room we have we have Matt and then Foggy's they're in the back of this highfalutin high society kind of get together, but they're in the kitchen, they're chowing down, they're eating, they're hanging out. It's kind of the lowbrow Animal House, lowbrow not in the bad sense, just like it's kind of like these are like the real, these are the guys who can't afford to get into the fancy party and hanging out in the kitchen, and the kitchen staff's like, yeah, well, these guys are cool, let them hang out.
Exactly, right.
And on the other side of it, you have like the security like on Matt Murdoch instantly before he can even get a drink.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a great little kind of visual dichotomy, kind of a class dichotomy there.
Yeah, you're right.
But let me see. So just continue on with Matt here. So again, he's the young hotshot living up to Jack Murdoch's hopes of on his way to be a lawyer, but still not quite fully figuring out like how to go about that quite yet. He's attracted to Elektra very much so.
Yeah, and as we said, that's very much like, it's just such a good portrait of a poisonous relationship, right? Just like, okay, these people just bring out the worst in each other, and they should never be together.
It's like it's like the apple, the famous apple. But what if the apple tasted like ice cream?
What? I've never heard that one.
Well, the Adam
only apple I know of is the Adam and Eve apple. I've never heard the ice cream analogy part of it.
Well, it's like, what if you took a bite of the apple, which is going to lead to doom, but oh my god, it tastes so good.
Oh, okay. Well, come on, you can't use the ice cream analogy, Dragon. You have to use the Harry's pie analogy.
Well, you'll see. Just wait for it. Wait for it.
Okay. Oh no.
Okay, not now, but later. Just you'll see. I have pie later. We'll have pie coming later.
Oh god. Okay.
Anyway, back to this.
Oh,
so again, he's very attractive. Just hold on to the pie, man.
I'm sorry. I snorted in delight. That was kind of awkward. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, so let's see, what was I getting to here? So again, he's very attracted to Elektra, and you're right, it is sort of like a fatalistic, but like it's such a pleasant fatalistic kind of relationship where it's she's steering him down this mischievous path. In a way, Elektra is the ultimate distraction for the noble goals that Jack Murdock sends Matt down on. In a way,
she's almost kind of like Bugs Bunny-ish in a way.
Kind of, yeah. She has kind of like she knows all the answers. Like she has like the never lose Bugs Bunny man kind of attitude, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah,
like,
I can see
come on,
yeah.
Doc. Come down this rabbit hole with me and get into some mischief, Doc.
Yeah, again, she's distracting him from his eventual heroic goals in a way, and it's like the ultimate distraction. It's like the ultimate mirage of this pretty future assassin lady who's is really just like, hey, hello, Matthew, let's go steal cars. Let's steal red sports cars. Anyway,
you are too good at that. You are too good at that.
I don't know if I take the offense of that or not. So, let's see. So, basically, she's like a head over heels distraction for Matt Murdock, and he's eager. Basically, in a way, like by the end of Matt's arc in the past, after kind of this distraction, I love that after the Roscoe Sweeney scene, which we'll talk about later on, which is a really excellent scene.
Mm-hmm.
That event, as traumatizing as it is, he takes that event that would be traumatizing anyone else, but he turns it into it's what fuels him to serve the other side of Jack Murdock's goal, which is hey, don't solve things with your fist, but hey, on the side, he's avenging he got justice for his father without killing him, so it's a good middle ground for what his father wanted for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's using his father's trait and morality following that event, which separates him at the end of the day from Elektra's. He's using his father not as a motivator to kill people and go down a wrong path, but to do a noble thing. Anyway, sorry, moving on.
Okay, let's get to some daring dynamics. All right, Dragon. I don't really have the dynamics in front of me anymore, so you're gonna kind of have to guide the way on this.
Well, Tiki, they should still be there. You just
they're not there. They're not there.
Oh, well, okay, it's weird. I have them. Okay, let me see.
They disappear when I dropped out. They
right.
Chat stuff. Go ahead.
Not a problem. We're starting with Matt and Elektra.
Mm-hmm.
Just all encompassing. You see, Matt and Elektra.
Okay, Matt and Elektra.
So,
well, we kind of went over some of it already, but like we said, they're just it's compelling to watch. It's in a way, it is kind of romantic, but gosh darn it, they're just they're two kids who are just kind of figuring each other out and kind of like it's almost kind of like Matt falling in love for the first time. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah, it is. I think
it's like he might have had like a high school sweetheart or something like that, but this is like this is like another level for him.
Yeah. Well, again, Tiki, I'm going to mention this more later on, but again, this is pulling directly like we did in the first season with Wilson. Wilson. Basically, what we did actually in the same. Oh my God, it was a flashback episode too. Yeah, they're pulling from Man Without Fear, one of the early Frank Miller Daredevil things, and that was drawn by John Romita Jr. And basically, that's where we get the black suit he's wearing in all of the first season.
Sure.
And also we get him basically that little adventure where he beats the was it either child abuser or it was child abuser,
I think so.
Yeah. Because it was a little girl, right? Yeah, he abused this little girl. And point is that we beat that guy senseless. That's from the book, and there's also what they're pulling here is the whole. It's not pulled verbatim, but like the red sports car and all these elements, it's kind of the whole Matt Elektra affair is pulled from that book, and also it kind of devolves to a thing where Matt says that he loves her. That was his first love. You see in flashback there. So I think it's definitely apparent here too. These two kids, they're head over heels for each other, and they're going the full way. And like they're talking like about planning a future together, which will come back in a really tragic way in the season.
Oh yeah, it's like Dragon. I think it just should be a common like advice for relationships. If you're that young into a relationship, don't talk about kids. For like, it's a kiss of death when you talk about kids. It just brings in too many expectations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Anyway, so going to the present for a moment here. What I like, we didn't really touch on this too much, but again, I love kind of the old school Casablanca-ness of it all. I love kind of the noir aspect of like Matt not trusting her. It feels so old school, don't you think?
Of all the law firms and all the cities and all the world, she had to walk into mine.
Goes a little something like this. Nope, sorry, wrong. There we go.
Sweetheart, you don't break into my house and then talk to me about trust. Don't overthink it. It's just a bunch of guys in business suits. They won't know what hit them. It's fun. Like old times. Oh, you and I, we have very different ideas of fun. You can say whatever you want. Just I know you. No, you don't. You don't. Not anymore. No. Never again. That's disappointing.
Heartbreaking stuff, truly heartbreaking stuff.
You know, in a way, but I also feel like it's kind of empowering to Matt. You know, it's like, yeah, you know, she could have fucked up your life, and like, and you know, especially with the format of this episode, I like it, Dragon, how, you know, at the start maybe it is heartbreaking, but then as the episode goes on, it's like,
yeah, you fully get it later on. Like, you understand completely he's doing the right thing, but again, it's a mystery. It unfolds. You know, it's so Casablanca-esque.
Sure. Okay, and then let's see. And like I said, I already got into the whole her using the leverage of like, oh, I'll pull your law firm out of financial ruin if you know, more or less just play ball with me.
Yeah, but again, it's so. Again, I love there's not a lot of force behind that, though. I get a sense of it's kind of bait. It's less blackmail, more bait. But I don't know. I see your point. It's like a subtle blackmail, kind of. It's kind of a little bit of both. It's like she just doesn't care about
necessarily blackmail. It's more just like, look what I'm holding over your head, Matthew.
Yeah, it's like bait that she knows he can't resist. Of like, hey, this is relating directly to what you're doing, Matt. So hey, you gotta look me up.
Sure.
Essentially, I mean, these two they're planning a future together, and they have the mutual disappointments in their choices at the end of the episode. So that's kind of what's led them down there. So let's move on to Karen and Ellison.
Karen and Ellison. Okay. Well, oh my God, this guy, man, he doesn't have much screen time in the episode. He's not really that major of a character, but I like him just because he's sort of an everyman within the context of this whole thing. You know what I mean? He's just kind of like the boss he's the boss who has to be stern when he has to be, but he doesn't really want to be a mean guy. You know what I mean? He's just trying to do his job and do his job right.
It's kind of funny. Supergirl, right now, they're doing a character that's pretty much the imperfect version of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this guy's the perfect version of what you want to do with your kind of your head of the your editor types. Of like, if you're gonna do a Perry White for new, they're not doing Perry White on Supergirl. They're doing character. They're basically pulling. I don't think you understand who this is, but it's a Snapper Carr. Snapper Carr. He's the journalist of the Justice League in the comics. That's what he was. So they basically made him. Her Perry White, essentially. He's like the guy giving orders, and he's like a grouchy editor who's like, you're not a real reporter. I was forced to hire you. He's always like giving her a guff, and like he's also giving her tips though. So he's really basically a grumpier version of Ellison. Basically, he didn't have like all the heart and like, man, I like this guy, but I understand why he's harsh, so you can get the really good journalism.
Right.
Like this, honestly, this would be a good, this Lawrence Fishburne's got it too, but this would be good Perry White. So these are good editors.
Lawrence Fishburne, man, he's good. He just needs more screen time. We've already talked about this.
Yeah. Let's see. But yeah, Ellison though, he's always had in the first season. We still get it here, and I really love that we still kept this going. He has these great little offhanded personal lines of like, mentions like his kids and like, I can't remember phone numbers, or they can't remember something.
Yeah, he can't remember birthdays, but he can remember dates of like horrific scarring events.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I love these little tidbits, and like, there's that great bit he had with Yurik in the first season saying, "Hey, my kids, my kids playing cello or playing some instrument, and oh my goodness, it brought tears to my eyes." But again, it's like I just love that personable and like these little. Such a human, excellent human. It's like such a realistic editor. He's not like a J. Jonah Jameson type, or not that that's bad, but not that that's bad. Just it's a little. Like Jameson has great humanizing moments.
Well, this is a guy you'd actually kind of want as a boss. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like sometimes he can be a little hard nosed, but only because he's trying to get the job done.
Yeah, basically with their dynamic, it's really it's a great kind of mentor. It's like he's treating with like more sugar and hope than he treated with Ben. Ben was because he was a seasoned reporter. We saw a different kind of dynamic with those two guys. So here it's a lot more like, oh, it's that Karen Page. I know she gave me some guff because she kind of blamed me for Ben's death, and because she did kind of at the end of because they didn't know until the very end, that Ellison was innocent. It was someone else in the office that was on Fisk's payroll.
Right.
Again, that was kind of a neat little kind of Hamlin echoed thing here. It's not by no means to the same level of a Hamlin thing from Better Call Saul, but it's kind of like we're directed to think, okay, Ellison's corrupt, but no, he's not corrupt at all. So yeah, I love these kind of mentoring Karen, and it's really sweet. And I think it boils down to this really excellent line Ellison has when he's they're working together to kind of get the scoop on the Punisher, uncover the truth, but also the Bolton gets the story. So it's kind of a mutually beneficial thing. Really a good line right here.
Nothing. I'm just thinking of somewhere Ben Urich is looking at him. Just get real kicking on this. Have fun.
It's just he's so darn nice and realistic with her, It's just basically they found some way to pull the ultimate hat trick, Tiki. They found a way of, hey, I'm going to give you another Ben Urich dynamic with Karen Page. How are we going to do that? Well, make it Ellison.
Yeah. Even though, like Ellison, like we said, he was the hard-nosed boss at the. Can you hear me?
1 second, Tiki. I think one of our audios are off here.
Oh no, not again. Oh God.
Okay, no, we're fine. We're all good. I think it was on. We're all. I can hear you now. I can hear you. Say something.
Oh God. Oh.
We're all good, folks. Sorry about that. Moving on.
Well,
next.
Go
next is Foggy and Marcy.
Better known as Foggy Bear. Well, I guess that's not the ship name. I guess that's just.
Well, I mean, she came up with Foggy Bear, though. That's the reason she came up with Foggy Bear.
Farsi? I don't know.
Oh, come on. Come on. Melson.
Nelson. Anyways.
Marcy and Nelson.
Nelson.
I
like it. So yeah, this is it's a one scene thing, but kind of cool that we get a little Jessica Jones reference in there as well.
Yes, we do. They're more casual and friendly with each other. There's not much of like kind of a rebound thing. It's referenced, but it's not like the big focus this time.
Well, I like how the expectation is basically like, you have something you want to talk to me about, right? And then Foggy, of course, he's at first trying to be like, no, I just figured I had a long day, kind of, we could trade sob stories, and
yeah.
And of course, I love how he tries to work in like the favor he wants from her through the sob story.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I see how it is. You want something. Now it feels normal.
Yep. And I like there's still kind of that mutual attraction of these two, like when nothing else fails, they'll get together for a happy go.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And again, in the end, I love that there's the reason that she's not like kind of soured Foggy or anything is that everything worked out after season 1. Apparently, she got hired, and I believe what they're saying here, T. I could be wrong. I think what they're getting at is that she's employee at Jerry Hogarth's law firm. I think that's what they're saying with this.
I'm pretty sure that's what they're getting at. Yeah.
I got to check what Hogarth's law firm's name is, because I don't know if her name's in there or not, because like some sort of, she listed a name. I got to double check that, but regardless. So again, the point is like she's either affiliated or she's working directly with Hogarth's law firm, because she would. That explains how she would know that the ending of Jessica Jones happened where Reyes is going after her. Because she's going after kind of vigilantes and superpowered people, so she can eventually become mayor.
Sure.
I love that we don't like spend time like she's actually running for mayor. It's like she's trying to earn points to become mayor, because folks, as much as we love kind of our mayor plot lines, especially in superhero things, I mean, Arrow's done it God knows how many times. And
I mean, it can get a little tiresome, though.
That's
You
what
know?
I'm saying. I mean, you can only run for mayor so many times because we had it twice on Gotham. I can't even keep track of how many times it's because they keep killing the mayors on Arrow.
Oh God.
God knows how many mayors keep getting deputy mayors. Gotham killed a deputy mayor, and our actual mayors. Aubrey James is somehow alive. I don't know. It's just let's not dwell on it. Boys, I love they actually just said, "Hey, you don't instantly become mayor. You have to build points.
You can't just go up and you there, current mayor, I challenge thee."
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay, unless you're Burgess Meredith, that's the time it only works. No. Let's see. Moving on from Foggy and Marcy then.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Foggy and Tower. Foggy and Blake Tower.
Okay. Blake Tower becoming more and more important as it goes on. I like how this guy is sort of he draws the line between being an ally and an enemy. You know what I mean? It's kind of like this weird. It's almost kind of like an anti-hero,
like a real DA,
vibe with
kind of like a real DA. Where the real DAs they don't want to be the bad guys all the time, but sometimes they have to be.
Exactly. And with Howard, he's just like, look, I threw you a bow. Now you kind of owe me.
I love that, here they're kind of like these two. I love they're both kind of the assistants to the main guys. They're both they have overzealous partners. Matt with the whole strict to the, the non-guilty clients, and on the other hand, you have. I'm just saying traditionally. Of course, we've had things to kind of call it. Show that Foggy's more than capable of being that to his own. And Tower, on the other hand, of course, he's like, oh, what's my partner getting us into now? Oh, Rhea, she's getting us in all sorts of trouble again and again and again. What's their deal now?
Right.
And basically, I love their simpatico, but they're very simpatico initially. Hey, look, I don't want the Punisher thing either, but look, we got to go through the actual legalities here, and just Foggy. Foggy won't put his practice in danger. It's what it boils down to. Let me play it for you. Because, let's let the paid actors do it better than we do.
Trust me, there's nothing I'd rather do more than cooperating with your office. But a legal firm sharing privileged communications with a client, even a deceased one, without a court order, I've seen lawyers get disbarred for less. And I don't know about you, but I worked really hard. Nights and everything. Reyes, she staked all her political chips on the conviction of this Punisher freak. Now things will go our way. There'll be an opening in the district attorney's office in the not-so-distant future. And DA Tower has a nice ring to it. And I start considering the benefits that could accrue if your firm were more cooperative. Like I said, show me a subpoena, and I'll cooperate like a son of a bitch. Reyes is gonna roll over you like a tank. You keep saying that, and yet, still kinda here.
Oh, that fogster, that foghorn unicorn, that fog guy. I don't know.
If only we could.
About fog.
If only we could end these great Foggy Nelson sticking up for himself with one of two things. One kind of like a Looney Tunes, like or more preferably the Perry Mason theme or something. Like the Foggy Nelson spinoff of
Well, you know what I think would be appropriate is some sort of kung fu theme to fit with the whole legal kung fu motif that I think is
yes
here. Maybe
Hong
like a
Kong
gong or
Foggy.
something. Oh God.
No, Tiki. Hong Kong Foggy.
Yes.
Super loyal guy.
Oh no. Well, maybe not that much of a stereotype, but yes, I like where your heart is. Maybe lose the lisp.
What lisp? Hong Kong Foggy. Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyway, let's see. Where was I going with that? Also, again, I think he's right. I've seen lawyers who've been disbarred for changing the littlest of things, like from 1216 to 1261, or vice versa.
Oh God, yeah, right. Oh no.
Okay, but seriously, again, it's also yeah, that's an obscure reference to a certain beloved show of ours too.
Mhm.
The folks out there to piece together. Anyway, it's also kind of great is that in the comics, I love that they're bringing this to the screen in a really clever, inventive way. Like, again, these two kind of ran against each other for DA, and as you can imagine, Tower won. But again, it's kind of a neat way of bringing a little bit of rivalry between these two back into the fray, like homaging it in a way.
Sure.
All right, moving on to Matt and Karen to kind of circle out the dynamics.
Matt and Karen.
So
yes.
we've seen Archie and
Daredevil.
we see. Oh, we gotta think of a shipping name for Matt and Elektra.
Oh God. I don't know, dude. We're spending too much time on shipping names this episode. It's just dead hair. But you know, Daredevil, Dragon. Like I said, what?
Daredevil. No, it's stupid. Never mind.
I don't sign off on that.
Yeah. Let's keep going. We'll think of something. Let's keep going.
Oh God. So yeah, but Karen and Karen and Matt, like you said, Dragon, I really like the point you made that I didn't even think of how they're both leading the double lives. That's a really good part of the dynamic right there. And Dragon, that part of it, I have to admit, kind of makes me kind of look at the restaurant scene in a different way. I'm like, God damn it, yeah, it's awkward, but it's like they're kind of like beating around the bush with certain things. So
yeah, it's friends taking it to the next level, Tiki. There's going to be a transition period, you know?
Yeah. I begrudgingly accept that.
Yeah, it's like they're both occupied, but living in their moments when they can. That's kind of the thing. Like, again, they're both kind of distracted at dinner, but at the same time, it's like, hey, they both really love being in the moment with each other, as we saw with that rain scene. And I think they're just such a cute, humble couple. I just think, oh my God, it keeps boiling down to Betty and Veronica. That's what it is. It's like Murdoch's Archie, and he's got Betty and Veronica to choose from.
Sure.
So let me play a little bit of a little bit of romance here between the two of these, just how darn cute they are. Basically, kind of the ending to the perfect date in a way. You're showing like, oh, how can you not root for these two kids? It's honestly, it's kind of like the old Richard Donner and Tom Mankiewicz had a great analogy for making the original Superman movie work. And I think it fits with this. It's that if you make the love story work, get the audience to root for these two kids to get together, the movie's going to be great, which it was. And here, it's working. It goes a little something like this. I tell you, I think that's just it's like the perfect way to end the date. The way just that whole scene, like we keep the moment perfect. It's basically an excuse not to go because he's conflicted with the Elektra stuff, but still, it's like, hey, let's keep it perfect because again, he's actually referencing.
I like how intimate he's making it. It's like, look, I can't go to bed with you, but I'm gonna make the idea of not going to bed with you the most romantic thing you can possibly think of. That's
what he's doing, yeah. And at the same time, cleverly, what he's doing there too is it's kind of saying, my past romances have not worked that well, which we see happen in flashbacks. Like, oh yeah, that's when things turn south.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like a great way of, again, we have another great juxtaposition from, really, again, happiness seesaw only in terms of timeline here. Like, hey, nice romantic futures, bright horizons with Karen Page, dark, seedy past with Elektra Nooches. What do you like better? You like nachos or noches better? Because it's spelled nachos, but it's always pronounced noches.
I like nachos just because, like, nachios, just it kind of like has the nachos thing in it. You know what I mean?
Well, either way, you get nachos either way. It's like noches or nachos.
Well, nachos, I'm saying, like, anyways, I'd like nachos better. But
yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, anyway, moving on. So, but yeah, humble couple, very Betty and Veronica dynamic, as I've said in Nexus before. So let's get to our next segment.
Okay, our next segment is Dare to be Different. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, definitely the flashback structure of it, you know, very much kind of like revealing the mystery, like it starts off in kind of like a Casablanca type of way. And then as we peel through this romance dragon, we realize it is no Bogart and Bergman. You know what I mean? It is much darker than that.
Play it again, Foggy.
Oh God. Oh no. Oh no. Foggy's just on piano and he's just all sad, like
It'd be great if he just looked in the camera, just like give him like a sad expression of like and then on the other side of the piano it's Vera Farmiga saying, "It's so sad." Okay, sorry, back on topic. So yeah, as I mentioned, a big really great thing, they're pulling a lot from, again, they're pulling in a weird way to you, they're pulling a lot from Man Without Fear without pulling it directly from Man Without Fear. You know, it's like it feels so much like the Elektra romance from that book, like directly, but it was like different things happen, you know, aside from because in the comic they stole a sports car and we got to see him drive off with it. Here we just saw him beginning to. We didn't get to see the adventure.
Sure.
Let's see. Again, the flashback structure is excellent. I love that Karen is still building our Punisher story. So I love the transition from our stories here. So again, I think later on, mainly again, we'll get into the reasons why when we get further into the season. But like past episode 10 onward, that's when we kind of reach somewhat of a decline. But just look in the very beginning of our transition from the Punisher story to the Hand story. That's it's really great because we're still, as we get into this new story, we're still following up the previous story with Karen Page. You know, she's still looking into the Punisher, so it's not dying off.
The Punisher stuff never really dies off at all. You know,
yeah.
The momentum does keep going, which honestly is one of the criticisms I heard about season 2 that's a little bit unfounded, is that, like, that's why I was scared to watch this episode, honestly, is that I heard that the Punisher stuff drops off a lot more than it does in all actuality, so...
But again, it's just they're still keeping it alive, and it feels like a natural transition of, okay, well, we're still in Matt Murdock's story, which would transition to Elektra, while Nelson and Murdock is still focused on the Punisher.
Right.
Again, I love that we somehow, again, Tiki, on paper this doesn't work, but somehow they made it work. You know, we get a Daredevil No More episode that's condensed to one. Basically, we get Daredevil No More in an episode and a quarter, if you count the last couple minutes of the previous episode. That's not in your face. It's not like, hey, crime's happening and Daredevil's not there to prevent it. You know, he's stuffing his face with a hot dog instead of being, hey, a mugging's going on. I'm just going to turn away and think profoundly.
Oh God.
Okay, now let me make it clear. I love those scenes. I'm not trying to take them down. I'm just saying it's different. That's all. I love that movie. I love those scenes in that movie.
Sure.
Okay. I don't want to be lynched for taking Spider-Man down, being Spider-Man 2 down a peg.
Everyone loves Spider-Man 2. You're good.
Except for the except for the whole mental power thing of like, oh well, now his powers just aren't working.
Well, that's kind of like a Pixar thing. Like we don't think about that. The rest of the movie's so good.
Okay, well, I don't want to put Pixar in that stirring pot, Tiki. Come on, let's talk about last. Oh, sorry, we're getting off topic. Let's just move on.
Yes, we are.
You know, it's anyway. Tomatoes, tomatoes. I love that we're sold on a relationship within one episode. Again, it seems like an impossible thing. Like, man, you were really sold on the Elektra-Matt relationship in one episode. Like, yeah, I see why this worked and why, you know, it ended tragically. It's like, oh wow, I mean, I'm sold on. Part of me, much as I'm rooting for Karen and Matt, at some level, I'm kind of like, oh, it's kind of a shame what happened to these two kids on the side here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like now it's two conflicting love stories, and yet it's not a love triangle because they don't know aware of each other in a way.
Sure. Okay, trying to think. Definitely the whole situation with Sweeney was very bold of them, to have Matt go that far, and then it's a really good kind of kind of message of, it's like we haven't seen this character kill, and he doesn't kill for a good reason. So that was all very well handled.
Yeah, which, by the way, you really should read when you get a chance to. Not like in the way of other things in the docket that you should get to before this. But Matt, but in the Man Without Fear thing, I keep bringing up because again, this does have a lot of influence on the show, especially with the first season. But basically, the thing that's going through all the Elektra stuff is that Matt accidentally killed someone in that book.
I was wondering that. I was wondering if it was going to get to that point or not, if he was going to like accidentally kill. Wouldn't that be a twist if like him beating up Sweeney just kind of accidentally killed him unintentionally?
Well, in a way, I don't want to. This is something we might see in like season 3. If again, assuming Sweeney's alive and not just having died in prison, because years have gone by. He's an older guy. He got pretty severely beaten. You don't know. But if supposing in the comics, Sweeney also died by accident. But the point is, he had a different accidental death. The whole Elektra thing was like he was. The reasons in the comic, Stick was in the comic, and the reason that we had these again pulled from the comic, the scene where Stick's telling the shadowy guy, that Matt's not ready.
Mm-hmm.
That scene was because Matt accidentally kicked the girl out a window. And in doing so, that's what Stick's like, okay, the kid's not ready. He was supposed to, he screwed up the job, and the guy said, no, give him a chance. Says, no, I'm not trying. That's what caused him to abandon Matt instead of the whole kind of
Gotcha.
And throughout the whole Elektra stuff, while he's falling for Elektra, he keeps pursuing Elektra because it's like the girl who he let die in a way. Like he keeps trying to save Elektra, and then he kind of ends up falling in love with her.
All right, that makes sense. I like it.
Anyway, let's see. Almost through this. Again, utilizing Ellison and Marcy very well, not feeling forced to like, hey, we're bringing back Harris in the first season. It feels like,
hey, remember those characters?
It feels very, very natural, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I love the visuals of this episode. I think we get some great direction, great visuals, especially with like we kind of rack focus with the Matt on the rooftop and Elektra. Like all the Elektra boardroom scene is really well shot to me.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I mentioned the high society versus kind of the grounded setting.
Sure.
I think the last thing I got here to build to, aside from I'm going to butcher her name here, but Elodie Young as Elektra. She's great.
She is.
And also like avoiding the Nelson Murdoch love triangle. Here's the bit I got to play. I got to play the again just the realistic date small talk that you never see on TV. It's always like it's always really kind of like these are perfect people dating each other. And they know just the right things to say. We get to see some real life small talk go on. It's really endearing too. So
Dragon, the one reason I don't. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm going to say anything.
Oh, I was going to say the one reason I don't particularly care for this scene is that it's almost like, to me, it's almost kind of like reminds me how awkward I am on a date, and so yeah.
Again, that's no marks against the episode. That's just
no, it's not. It's just kind of like okay, like this is kind of it's a little too close to home for me, but it's good. It's good. Go ahead.
Let me say this though. More so, I love the endearing. There was some good lead up to. I had to cut out of this where it's she's. Making small talk, like she's asking like what kind of if Matt likes wine. He says, I don't drink anything unless it's from Josie's.
right.
Like I only drink the stuff that's from Josie's. Just showing you Matt has like really cheap taste in a way. Anyway, it's an endearing thing later on. There, I just love the ending of this thing, so I'm just gonna play it for you.
Yeah, I just really like to hit the office. Nice change of pace, right? No big shot in. It's gotta feel good. Yeah. You, how's the new client? Yeah. Nothing I haven't seen before. Seriously, that's gonna be an evidence. It's fine. Okay. Well, that covers work.
So a couple things I got to broach here. One, my little nitpick, and I usually bring these things up. He just snubs him on that question.
Like if Nick Ford were there, he'd just be like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Nick Ford, there's a guy in the corner. He looks over, he lowers his menu. It's Nick Ford. He's like, he just nods and rolls his eyes, like, lifts the menu up. No, but seriously, it's like I love the runners of wine in Daredevil, by the way, because in the first season, Wesley picked out the wine. That was
absolutely, yeah.
Remember, that was his sweet contribution to the wonderful tapestry that is the Wilson Fisk Vanessa relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really sweet thing. And here we have a wine thing. We get to see Daredevil's side of that. I'm like, it's a really he doesn't know anything about wines, and he doesn't have Wesley to help pick him out for him, so he's gonna ask the waiter, and the waiter's snubbing him.
Right, and it's like I like how he asked so nicely too.
Yeah.
It was just like,
That's what I'm saying. I love that. That just is so great to me. Now, real quick, something we should broach. That I just realized I mentioned this with the visuals, but we should actually get. What do you think of the sex scene?
The sex scene.
Some people are switching. I want to get your view on this.
I'm not too crazy about it, but I'm never one who like goes overly like, oh my god, I love that sex scene. You know what I mean? It's like sex scenes are kind of hit or miss for me in general, so it's fine. I don't think it goes like over the line or anything, but
I mean, like, how's it shot? Do you think it's shot well?
Well, that's the thing. I think the only sex scene that I can think of that's actually like super entertaining to me in recent memory is probably the Jessica Jones sex scene with Luke,
Yeah.
So it doesn't measure up to that, but I don't know. It's fine.
I bring it up because I just wanted, like, I think some of the shots, like one of the shots feels kind of, there's no founding for this. It's kind of like the last shot, I don't want to presume what's going on there, but the point is the last shot of him, the handle and neck thing we got in the trailer, that shot.
Oh,
I don't know. It looks very Miller-esque to me. It looks like, oh my god, they captured kind of the feeling of their relationship in kind of an image of, it's like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe. It's just like the handle and the neck thing of like, it's sort of like, again, it's not in a threatening way, but sort of like he's touching the feel. He's kind of getting a vision of her.
Sure.
That's all. The point is, again, I think it's really well directed. Not just that, but just the visuals and everything. So,
okay, let's move on to the blinding moment of awesome. Look at me. I'm wearing sunglasses. That's that or a piece of paper. Yeah.
He blinded me with Murdoch.
Okay, allow me to go first, Dragon. Or wait, is yours in I think yours is probably chronologically first, so you might want to go first.
I don't know. I think yours. Oh yeah, no, yours is first.
Mine is first. Okay.
I think it's after the Dateline happens. I think.
Okay, the first part of the day. I don't know, Dragon. To me, it's still like I don't buy how they're just like at this fancy place and they just decide on a whim, like, okay, well, let's go somewhere else. But
how do you not buy that?
It's a little bit of a buy to me, but
they're both uncomfortable there, so they figure, well, where's Mac gonna be more comfortable? And they go to like a more down to earth place. That's nice.
What I love about this scene, though, is I love the idea of like Matt saying. They go to this Indian food restaurant that has all these lights hanging down, and it is very visually great. It's one of the things like I'd love to. Could you imagine Disney recreating this at Hollywood Studios or something, like the hole in the wall Indian restaurant with all the chili pepper lights?
It'd be cool. Yeah. And also, I love that this does kind of come back in the very end. I won't say how, but this image kind of comes back at the end.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. The scene is very well written. It's got a good kind of romantic feel to it, and I love what it's trying to say about life in general, which is why it is my blinding moment of awesome. Because I love Matt just kind of reminiscing about I've lived in the city my whole life, and the thing I love about this city is how. And I assuming he's probably talking about New York on a grander scale and not just Hell's Kitchen. I don't know, because as we've kind of joked about before, Dragon, these Marvel Netflix shows, they take what essentially amounts to a few city blocks of Hell's Kitchen and make them a world. So
I mean, you could make the Doctor Strange argument. He like Inception level built Hell's Kitchen to be a lot wider than it is. But, that's a can of worms. That's a can of worms there. Like the Doctor Strange is actually the secret architect of the Netflix world. Of like, we're all set in Hell's Kitchen. I was except Harlem. Harlem's how big is Harlem anyway?
I think Harlem's bigger than Hell's Kitchen. I'm not sure exactly how big it is.
All right, fine. Then he just did he made Hell's Kitchen bigger, and Harlem's pretty much it's reconstructed, obviously. But it's there.
But I don't know. I'm getting off track though. I love the idea. It very much reminds me of Disneyland, and I know that's a weird thing to say, but it very much reminds me of like the thing you love about Disney parks in general, Dragon, is the details. You love like every time you go there, it's kind of like your own personal experience. It's your own personal story unfolding in front of you, and you know you could find like these hole in the wall shops or these little corners of the park, these tucked away benches, these and it's a rarity. It's getting scarcer and scarcer. Those kind of spots are dying in Disneyland in general because the crowds are getting worse. But it just makes those spots that are still there, the Snow White's grotto and the pathway by Splash Mountain. I could go on, but it makes those certain spots that much more special. And that's kind of what I think Matt embodies. I mean, he embodies it like on a grander scale than just a theme park, of course, but it's still kind of the same idea of like, look, I've been in the city my whole life, and I've it can still open up these surprises for you. And I like how that writing kind of goes back to sort of like life in general. Like, yeah, life is full of surprises. This is a surprise how this all happened, but it's great. And of course, Dragon, we get Karen describing the place for Matt, which is a very, very well written scene. Do you have it? I don't remember if you have it.
I don't have it.
Okay, that's fine. Sorry. Karen just saying, well, first of all, the thing I like the best is the ceiling, all these just imagine it's just drenched in these lights, and the lights are chili peppers, and I know it sounds corny, but it's not. It's magic. Oh God, I don't know. It just gets to me. It's so well written. The whole scene is just, it's so atmospheric, and it's inspirational in a way, and that's why I really like it. And like I said, I eat my words. I eat a whole big slice of humble pie about the Karen and Matt dynamics. So that's my take.
Yeah. The thing I really like about it too, I really like the again, it's feeding into that again, the juxtaposition we keep having between like the high class and the low class. Of like, there's a charm within kind of the.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's a charm in the simpler things, which again, it's saying to get all the stuff you liked about that kitchen scene early on. It's kind of thematically in this scene of like, it's like there's a niceness about this of like, it's not. The behind the scenes of some of the big fancy stuff can be nice, and here it's like, hey, the kind of the hole in the wall places, there's an elements to it. So
I went to a hole in the wall Italian restaurant. I'm sorry, I'm trying to correct that. In Long Beach, California. That was magical, Dragon. It had the same sort of feel as this place. So I totally get the. I love writing wise. You can kind of tell the passion behind it. That's a good word for it. You know what I mean? It's a very passionate scene, I think.
Oh, by the way, before I get to my moment, just so I can work it in there somehow, just because you're speaking of humble pie, Tiki, I think I should treat you to some pie.
Oh no! Oh God!
I'll give you the last piece of Mrs. Zio's peach cobbler. Ask me if anything in this office.
Peach cobbler.
Ask me how the cobbler is, Dragon.
The one you sat in, or the one you didn't sit in?
The one I didn't sit in.
That was the cobbler, Tiki.
It's so good. All right, I'm sorry.
I'm amazed that in all the trips at Disney, you never recreated that moment. Had someone hold a camera and then you're taking the pie and you're like, then you could use it for every sort of film. Like, how was Moana?
It's so good.
How was La La Land?
It's so good. You need to see La La Land.
You think I don't know I need to see La La Land? Do you think I need the reminder of hey, see La La Land?
Yes, I do think you need that reminder. Anyways, go ahead.
Anyway, so my moment, believe me, it really pained me to cut some of this, but I had to get it down to the essentials. I love
Not quite
Roscoe's
as painful as the whole 7 minutes of Emmy them out.
Oh no, it's not as difficult as that one, but still, this is a really good scene. I love it. Basically, this is the best way to describe it. This is the Daryl's Joe Chill confrontation scene. Essentially, that's what it is. He's going up against the man that's responsible for his father's death.
Sure.
Oh boy, it's basically, I love the actor who plays Roscoe Swim. We get to spend a lot more time with him here. I believe it's the same actor. I'm pretty sure I don't see why they would have changed it, but it's really good. In the comics, he's called the Fixer, which is, they still reference his nickname. So he's he's a fixture of terms of boxing and everything. He fixes the fights, and it's such a great thing. And I just love this. All comes from like a twisted romantic gesture on Elektra's part. And basically, the idea, Tika, I was getting that early on, is that her idea of it's kind of a twofold thing. But her idea of a romantic gesture is letting out more darkness in her. Is just showing her what that would be. Of like, wow, hey, instead of flowers or candy, it's going to be the man that killed your father.
Oh God.
Ready, in a chair, waiting for you to torture him, do whatever you want to him.
Isn't it great, Matthew? Oh God. Yeah,
Come on,
you're right.
Matthew, you want to hit him. Hit him again, Matthew. Use the knife without cutting him. Hit him like I'm hitting, like ding, ding, ding. Do that. Anyway, she did that, right? You remember when she did that?
Yes.
So I love that she's that good with the knife. I respect that quality. You can hit someone with a knife or a sword without, cut. He's like,
Oh, sure.
Like that. So, somebody's play a bit of like. Unfortunately, I had to lose the great bit of like, he's kind of sizing up Matt, and he just says, I don't know this boy from Christ, but he ain't got it in him. But
that's good. Yeah, that is good.
Oh, but this again, it's like continues to this, like the realization that like he doesn't remember him. He doesn't remember. But it goes a little like this. This is the whole grand, like again, it's like this is the fulfilling kind of Kevin Smith, punching evil in its face, quite literally in this case. It's like the fulfillment of this is the guy that's responsible for a really horrible thing that happened to you. Unleash it, man. Unleash the fist of justice, man. Go on. It goes a little something like this. Oscar Sweeney. That one too.
I raped your son, but I killed a lot of guys' dads. Let me help you. He's hard. Like this. You call that hard? You're battling Jack's boy. Oh, you amateur. Now I know your name. Nothing will stop me from blooding the street with your corpse. Just like I did to your old Lose your name. Cut his throat. Kill him. I can't do that. We can everything together. Remember? No, I can't. I thought you understood me. Yeah, I thought I did too.
Powerful scene, am I right?
Sick burn. I'm sorry. Yes, it is a powerful scene. That is a good line, though. Don't you admit that is a good line? Like, yeah, I thought I knew you too. Like, you're not going to get the upper hand here. You're in the wrong.
Yeah. And again, I love that it's again like she was half motivated by like romantic gesture. The other half of it was, it's kind of like making sure, like, hey, are we just like talking about like all this stuff we're gonna do? Are we actually kind of the same side of the same coin here? In a way, it's kind of like that. I love that as much as Matt unleashed Elektra in a way, forming her. At the same time, she formed Daredevil in that he with the memory of his father going on in that scene, he's punching crime in the face, which is heavily going to form what he's going to do when again the next in Nelson versus Murdoch, that's where he puts in the practice the stuff he learns here. It's like he's driven by the spirit of Jack Murdoch in a way, like honoring his father and getting justice. again, justice, not revenge. He's not killing this guy like it'd be easy to, as Elektra points out. Cut his throat, Matthew. Again, it's very simply just yeah. He just doesn't have it in him, and he won't kill him. And in a way, the twisted thing is that Roscoe Sweeney's kind of right. He sized him up from the get go. This guy doesn't have it in him. Like, no, he's not going to kill him.
You know what else is good about the Sweeney part of it is I love how Sweeney almost mirrors Frank in episode 4, where he's just like, in spite of the bad circumstances, he's still just like intimidating as ever, Yeah.
In this case, it's the Irish. In this case, it's the Irish is in the chair, like
exactly.
I'm going
right.
to play the street with your corpse, just like I did your old man.
Yeah, that's a great kind of compare and contrast there with the last episode.
Seriously, how cool is Roscoe? I really hope they bring him back for if they do the death in the next season. Maybe it's another. Basically, they got I don't know if they directly pulled it or not from the original movie, the Daredevil movie. No, I know they didn't do it for this. I'm saying I'm saying if the movie adapted the thing from the comic, because there's kind of a subway related. Like he died in a subway, not on the tracks, but he died like in the subway area.
Sure.
So. I don't know. Anyway, points. It'd be great to see Sweeney back. Okay, moving on from blinding moments.
Okay, let's go to the Braille Trail really quick.
It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Well, I think most importantly, we get that great Jessica Jones foreshadowing. The tie to Jerry Hogarth with Marcy, and also the Jessica Jones reference. That's good stuff. Kind of tying the universes together.
Roxxon.
Yes, Roxxon. Yes, absolutely.
Roxxon is a biggie because we've had Roxxon ever since Iron Man 2. Honestly, we've had
Roxxon is basically like the Marvel equivalent to By and Large.
Essentially, it's one of the big companies. Yeah, it's like that. And we also get another one of those companies.
Or Dynaco. Dynaco maybe is.
Dynaco, absolutely. It's definitely Dynaco. Yeah. So we get Roxxon, which also, in addition to Roxxon, we get to see it more. I don't know if this is the first time they used it or if it's just we didn't get to see it much in the first season. But in the bulletin, they have like all the great newspapers referencing the Marvel movies and everything.
Mm-hmm.
One of them references Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Cybertech. Basically leads to, let's just say, Deathlock. This is kind of this. Point is, it's a company that's up to basically kind of an evil Iron Man corporation. Just to boil it down. Same thing, Roxxon's the same thing. We see more of an Iron Man 3. But Also, of course, Roxxon, don't forget that Roxxon being corrupt is something we've gotten way back in Agent Carter.
Of course.
The Yakuza have returned.
Yes, which is, again, kind of leads to maybe some muddled territory here and there, but it's a great reveal, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I thought I took care of those guys. Well, clearly you haven't, Matthew.
Let's see. We pull from Man Without Fear a lot. Again, the sports car being the most notable. Like, okay, that's the same kind of sports car they drove off in on their dates in the books. Okay, they steal a car exactly from the thing. Let's see. DA Towers reference because again he became DA.
Sure.
Again, Reyes, as you mentioned, Jessica, she's going after vigilantes and heroes. It's something that's going to come back with her going so firmly as a Punisher. And, of course, we saw this start with Jessica Jones.
Right.
Karen and Ellison are working together. That's going to come back in a big way.
Kind of Karen following in Urich's footsteps, continuing.
Again, I love Tiki. It's just so sweet to me. She's the daughter Urich never had. That's so beautiful.
Exactly.
It's again, Sweeney saw Matt's face. So again, if he comes back, he could always have the thing if he puts together that he's Daredevil.
That's true.
Maybe. Again, I'm not saying it's like a. It'd be great if we saw maybe in season 3 if D'Onofrio comes back, we could see him have a scene with Roscoe Sweeney.
Right. Because we don't even know if he's dead in the current timeline. You know what I mean? He'll be like behind bars, So
exactly. Again, he could by all means be like, I just really like this actor. Let's see. So Matt and Karen's romance versus Matt and Elektra's rekindling.
Yes.
Let's see. Nelson Murdoch potentially out of debt again. I gotta see how that lines up because he doesn't want to take the money, but I mean I think he kind of like. They don't focus on it, but he takes the money. That's all I got for Braille Trail.
And of course, the ending is a big like, okay, you wanted it, now you got it. They're teaming up, like it or not on that side.
Well, let me play it. Let me play that for you. Okay. So all that goodness, all that like really good cliffhangery goodness.
Glorious darkness inside you. Japanese branch of rock song. And I planted a little bug to crush their system.
Yeah, I heard. You knew they'd come for you.
I knew they'd come here. This building isn't in my name. I'm no amateur.
Hold on a second. Did you know I could?
The confidence was high.
You said it is everything you said before, but this is lies. You don't mean it. I'm sorry. It's just manipulation. We use the same thing over and over again. It's just manipulation.
Matthew! I told you. I know you. I've always known you. Then and now. So now you tell me. Do I need to push you this time?
Again, just such a great cliffhanger, and again, just like the costume we haven't seen the whole episode is then placed right on the thing of like, hey, you gonna man up and do it or not?
Right.
It's time to
Okay,
stick up,
so,
Matthew.
So let's get into the Nelson and Murdoch verdict.
Oh yeah, I think this is a great character building episode. Elektra's great. I love just how Miller-esque it is too. It just feels so Miller-esque. It feels like a far superior representation of Elektra than we've seen before.
Sure.
Not a lot of contest there, but still, I think it's worth saying that. Oh yeah, this is a really great representation of what Elektra is. Again, I love it's a romantic episode. Again, it's an episode. I love when we get episodes that kind of slow things down a little, where we're not. Basically, where it's not like, again, not the mandated action, so to speak. We get action, of course, we get some of that, but it's not like in costume mandated action. He's not randomly going back. It's like it builds.
Yeah, it's a good stepping stone between the two arcs. I must say, in terms of, it's definitely not as compelling as the first 4 episodes, and it's also not as compelling as some of the Frank Castle on trial stuff. So, this season is very good outside of the last couple episodes. So it's, but it is, it is very good. It's very well structured, a lot of character building stuff. Like you said, I guess it goes to show that this season really isn't all that bad. If this kind of tends to veer on, not necessarily the weaker side, but maybe the less memorable side, and it's still a damn good episode. And I'm not trying to take points away from it. I'm just saying, some of the other stuff we have is fantastic.
You know what I think it is? I think it feels like a really good one-off, but it connects to everything though. It's like it's like Nelson versus Murdoch. It's a great one-off, but it's also kind of getting us from point A to point. It's the most excellent filler you'll ever see.
And you can't really call it filler though. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
It's essential to Elektra. It's essential to. Matt's backstory is pretty important as well, so it's really not filler. Like I said, I think the problem really is just it comes in between 2 epic story arcs with Frank Castle. And let's face it, as cool as Elektra is, and as much as we like her, Frank Castle really is the main course of this season. So we have the first 4 episodes that just knocked it out of the park, just amazing stuff. And then we have the trial of Frank Castle and everything, kind of the aftermath of that, which, again, knocks it out of the park. Amazing stuff. Really, really compelling. Kind of up there with everything we saw in season 1. And then we have this episode, which is just, it's good, but it's just kind of awkwardly placed in between the two. So it's not as memorable as either of those 2 Frank Castle scenes, but still a damn good episode in its own right. And I don't want to take anything away from it. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's great structure, and I think it's a really strong transition into a new story.
Oh no, there goes the eel bottle.
No.
Okay, we're good.
Anyway, what I was saying, again, I think it's a great transition into our new story, and that thematically, there's a great tie. And again, think about it. The Punisher was our gray element. If Matt was firmly black and white, then as Matt got to know the Punisher, it became gray. Sure. And now the ultimate representation of the gray is Elektra, who's coming into life.
Right.
It's in this case, again, Elektra really is, it's kind of great. Think about it. We go from black and white, we go from black and white, then we go to gray, and the gray being the ending of episode 4 of okay, now he sees, where the Punisher's coming from, and he kind of retires Daredevil, so he's not in the Daredevil suit, so that's all gray. And then when Elektra enters, and the end of the episode is hey, the red suit's back, red the color of passion, love, and old romance. We're getting back to the red in a way, and again, it's a complex, the complexities there. Again, I think it's Again, I think it melds well. Like we're still keeping the Punisher stuff alive by thematically going into darker elements. Like, sure, Matt's no angel either.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, for sure.
So it's boy, oh boy, this says it's good, and I think we're gonna get some other good ones along the way. Of course, episode 9 is gonna be the best one, but we'll get there.
Episode 9, yeah, for sure. But all right, folks. Well, that's all for now. Daring installment when we return of Discerning Daredevil. Excelsior.
Enough said.
Stabby, stabby, Matthew.
Come on, D.